How do you move at God's speed? Today we're going to talk about moving at God's speed. This has to do with the 7-point process that we've come up with for the Catholic filmmaker. Lots of people could use it, but I'm just kind of focused on that. Number 5 is move at God's speed. So how do you move at God's speed, and what is that? So first, I want to challenge you to read in the book of Sirach. It's got tons of awesome wisdom in it, and there's one part in particular that's been sticking out, is that sometimes you got to take care of family. Sometimes you got to take care of things that are more important, like those loved ones around you, and that is more important than your film, and then more important than your career. It actually says in there, it talks about how sometimes you got to take a pause and put your career aside, put your work aside for taking care of your family. And we kind of live in a world right now where, we just take the elderly and we shove them away somewhere that we don't have to deal with. But that's totally not bueno, okay? And it's terrible for your art. You are missing a huge opportunity to embrace what's happening in the real world and bringing that to life. That's rich stuff. And will you miss that when we try to move at our speed, at the speed of the world, and not at God's speed? So it's like Martha and Mary, right? Martha was busy doing all the work around the house. And sure, yeah, you got to do work. I'm not saying that. But Mary was just at the feet of Jesus, just sitting there listening. And Christ said, he said, it won't be taken away from her. She's chosen the better half. It's not, leave her alone. She's good. There's always going to be dishes. There's always going to be film projects. And think about this. When you think of good stories, the good stories come from struggle. People going through struggle, people living in poverty, people living under persecution, people living in suffering, and their struggle to overcome those things. That's what we're interested in as the human being, because that's our story. And as much as we want it to not to be, even when we're trying to work so hard and push so fast, we're struggling. We're creating struggle, even if we're trying to ignore the things. So deep down, we desire it too. We desire it, and we know that it's true. So enrich your story by moving at God's speed. And if that means just dealing with the person that's right in front of you in your life, deal with them first. They're more important, because your movie's going to burn. In the end, it's all gonna fade away. But the things that last, the eternal things that last, you'll never regret spending time with those you love. You'll never regret giving them a little extra, because the film business is ugly anyways, right? I mean, everyone is looking to, even at the end, you finish your project, they're looking at your project and going, how can we garner as much of the revenue from this project for ourselves and not get it to the filmmaker? That's a big problem, so you got to think about those kind of things. And what's worth it? What's worth it? And then what's driving us? What's driving us to go that way, to go where we would put others aside, those who loved us? And think about your parents. The ones that took care of you, or somebody got you to the point where you're at now. When we take care of them, that will not go unanswered. Okay, there's a great benefit for that. The other thing about moving at God's speed is, it'll change. It might be really fast or it might be really slow, But if you have a conviction, a consolation of a project, a film project that you think is important that you've been working on and it's taking a long time, well, you find strength in how it's got started, how it was inspired. And remember that consoling moment where you're like, this is really good, or this is really got a message or important, or I know I'm supposed to do this. All those kind of things, you got to hold on to those, cling to those things through the process, especially when things slow down. Because a lot of times it's just you're being tested, right? You got to be tested. Like wisdom, once again, the book of Sirach, it talks about wisdom. It sends you through the ringer. It talks about wisdom as her. She sends her people who want her through difficult challenges. Like, so to try and test and make sure. And if you think you've been tried enough, you think you've been tested enough, and there's no reason why you should be going through what you're going through, guess what? That's proof in the pudding that you have not been tested enough and you haven't learned the lesson. So it's like, let it seep in. Surrender. This leads to surrender. The Godspeed leads to surrender. And then things happen so much faster than how you think they're going to happen and what you could have done on your own. The connections that will be made, the progress, the incredible insights to the craft and the art and the symbolism and all the subtext and all those kind of things will just pop like nobody's business when you try to move at God's speed, when you're trying to listen and move at the speed he wants you to move at. So Lumen Summit's coming up October 2nd through the 4th. And also, we're still working on this film project, and we're trying to move it at God's speed. So one of these days, I'll announce what the actual story is about. Until then, we're working on our pitch packet and doing all the research and finding out like comparable films. And right now, we've got the first draft of the story. It's really good, and we're just taking the next few weeks to like dig into the characters and make them more lovable. And even make the storyline like, where can we really just get it great? And then we'll go back and rewrite again and again and again and again and again, and listening the whole time. So that's where we're at. Go to the Lumen Institute, join in, because we're gonna put a price tag on it because we're getting weird. Just too much. There's too many just kind of like spam things, and I'm tired of dealing with it. So we're just going to put a price tag on it. So if you want in, you got a couple more days, and then we're done. Finito. Actually, by the time this goes on, this is the last day. So check that out. Next time I see you, I hope to see Christ in you.